Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to. I'm Bushka on Blitz, and I'm back with a chat today about Patch 4.0's addition to the Tier 10 tech trees, namely the Foch 155. And I'm going to talk more about what it is than what it isn't, because it isn't an autoloader, which is what a lot of people were expecting when French TDs were rumoured, but it is one of the only French tanks I found that had any armor at all, which is pretty interesting considering that the tree is very, very bare when it comes to armor profile out of all these French TDs. It's also the only French tank that sports a 150mm plus gun, 155mm AC SA 58. There are 4 other tanks at Tier 10 that run 150s. There are actually other tanks that run more than 150, but for the purposes of this discussion, we're going to be comparing apples and apples, not apples and oranges, which is what the Death Star and the Jaegeru are. This thing has the same kind of gun that the T110E3, the T110E4, and the Object 268 all run, as well as a very, very dear friend of mine, the Grill A15. What it doesn't have is a lack of armor. It's got solid armor for a Tier 10 TD. It's got some big weak points on top. You can see those view range ports and the commander's hatch, but the actual frontal armor is very, very well sloped. You have a very strong 180mm armor plate that's sloped at quite an acute angle, and that gives you the ability to bounce shots off the front as long as you're moving and jumping and jiggling and wiggling. Even with the heat shells from a T62A, you are still going to have a very strong armor profile, and those heat shells will do 290mm of penetration, and you still leave your upper plate tinged slightly red, as you're going to see here. It's by no means an impervious armor plate, but it is strong enough that if you're angled and you're at any kind of range, you're going to be a tough pen, which is good, because that's something that's missing from most of the French line on the way up. And the 150mm gun means you're going to be pretty bloody intimidating. It's not the highest DPM. In fact, it's probably the lowest DPM out of any of the Tier 10 TDs that run 150s. But it does have some things going for it outside of the pure damage numbers. It's got incredible pickup. Its horsepower per ton is 23, which is just behind the Grill A, but obviously the Grill doesn't have the pickup of the armor profile of this tank. The Object 268, which has 48 kilometers an hour as a top speed, the Foch has 50 kilometers an hour, has a 17 horsepower per ton number, which is well below this tank here, the Foch. So it doesn't have the DPM, it does have the speed, and it does have the pickup. And its traverse numbers are actually pretty bloody nice as well. For all that, you're going to have a very different play style to a lot of the other Tier 10 tanks that run 150s. And I don't want to make any broad and general claims, because everyone has ideas on how tanks are going to go, and then we actually see them in the game and we figure it out from there. And this is test server, and these are bots, and it's very hard to say with any kind of empirical feel that this is how a tank is going to run when you are not playing against live competition, because live competition and humans are cunning buggers, and they will find ways to make do that you can't always predict. I mean, everyone has a plan, and then the actual battle starts and it all goes out the window. And that's very much how I feel about the Foch 155. It's got some good characteristics that could certainly be used to exploit weaknesses and speed and follow mediums around the flanks and hit the big boys hard from the side with a 150mm gun that does 640 average alpha. But it is by no means a tank that feels overpowered when I'm looking at the raw numbers. 280mm of AP pen will get the job done all day long. You shouldn't have any troubles penning anyone with this thing. 370mm of heat is more than enough pen if you want to switch up to the Premo stuff. And you have 90mm of HE pen, which is very standard for a 150mm gun at Tier 10. I'll know a lot more about this tank once I drive it on live, and when I drive it on live, I'll get a full review out ASAP. Look after yourselves, guys. I really appreciate the continued support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos. There's a lot of stuff coming out at the moment, as you can probably tell, and I've got lots of big news and lots of things to talk about in the next week or two. Until next time, I'm Bushka on Blitz. Stay safe on the battlefield.